Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 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 check.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I hope you've had a great opportunity to meet some new people at your table.
Excuse us. Here we go.
I was going to let the conversation just slowly go out here. I just want to do a quick introduction. First of all, I'm Jan Lloyd. I'm the Associate Vice President for Student Development. I'm the co-chair of the Women Moving Forward Committee with Dr. Lisa Valentino as well. And we are, again, very glad that you are here with us today. And so I have a microphone because we are streaming to our Altamont campus. Hello. And anybody else who might be watching from their computers at their desk. And so we appreciate you joining us. I have the opportunity to introduce our speaker. We're real excited. If you don't know Dr. John Gillen, I always have to look up his title. He's the Vice President of Resource and Economic Development. And we are excited to have him here for a couple of reasons. So one being is we've got this great new committee that's getting started, right, to move women forward. And what we've learned is that we've got the great support of our executive team. And so we've already had 3 executive team members involved. And John is now our 4th member of executive team here to show his support for this committee and the work that we are doing. And the other piece is, if you know John, he works in our foundation. So who knows better how to network and talk to people than the person who's asking for money, right? For the college, for our students, and everybody else. So we felt that John was a really great expert to talk to us about networking and what we can do to improve our networking opportunities. And so I am going to turn it over to John to talk with you about some of those techniques. And then afterwards, we are going to practice what we've learned. So just a forewarning, we'll be up and moving around in a little bit. Thank you, John.
Well, it's still morning. Good morning to everybody, and I'm glad to be here. I do want to thank, and I have notes with me today, I want to thank Jan, Lisa, Mary Beth for helping put this presentation together. It wasn't just me. They said, well, you do this, and I said, well, why me? And it's because of my background, and I'm like, they just mentioned the word subject matter expert, or SME. I have no formal training, no certifications in networking or anything like that. Although in college I was in SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management. We did a little bit of this. I did get a degree in business, those kinds of things. But I think it's really the 22 plus years of doing fundraising and development work that has brought me to this room today. And what was the question over there? What was the bravest career move you ever made? Speaking to a bunch of women moving forward. That's my bravest right now. So you're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to have some fun, but I am going to refer to some notes because this is the first time I've presented on a topic that I think I know, but as I was preparing for this, I was thinking about all the things that I've encountered in my years of networking, going to events, going to receptions, meeting people, not meeting people, missing the chance to meet people. And so I wanted to bring all of that knowledge here and put it in some little format. And I like acronyms. That's why we're going to get a grip on networking, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The other little piece about my background, my father was in sales, and I remember watching him as I was growing up. I didn't want to learn how to change the oil or take things apart. I wanted to watch him talk to his customers and add up the invoices and try to sell a product. And that was fascinating to me. And I'm just fascinated by people. Every one of you in this room has a unique and different story. And through the networking that you do, you're going to find out something unique and different about somebody today. And you're going to find that connection point because we're all connected in some little way, shape, or form. So that's why I'm here. But first, we're going to see what it's like to network wrong, actually. I don't know how to do it all right, but we found a little video on the internet, and we're going to show you a little networking, and we're going to let you take a look and see what you think. Turn it up. There.
Having a good time, are you? Yes, meeting lots of interesting people. I've spoken to dozens of people today, I can tell you. I've given out lots of cards, in fact, yes. So tell me, Barbara, what do you do now? Yes. I'm a marketing executive, you know, working a lot with blue chip companies at the moment and making quite an impression in the States, I can tell you. Yes. Yes, it is. Well, that's marvellous, Beryl. I'm sure my business could help you. Yes, in fact, we're helping so many businesses at the moment who can't afford to miss out. Look, let me give you my card. Give me a call sometime, and I'm sure we can do business. Actually, can I give you my card? Oh, yes, of course. Thank you. Yes, you know, if you're spending money on marketing, Beryl, then I'm your man. £1,000,000 player, I can tell you. Have to do with my card.
All right. It's an extreme case, but I've actually seen some of that happen. Anybody want to throw out a couple of things that was wrong about this networking opportunity? Barbara?
Well, first, as a sort of an introvert, she clearly did not want to be bothered with why she was hiding behind her pamphlet or booklet that
Sure.
kind of intruded on her personal space.
Sure. And people will do that. They'll walk up to you, and you want to be open when you're at an event, and depending on where you're at, what you're doing, you want to be open to the opportunity to meet people. If you're at a reception or networking event, you need to be prepared for that. So she kind of wasn't, was hoping not to meet folks, but you're there, you might as well take the opportunity and take advantage of the situation. Anything else? Yes. No, he talked over her. Talked all about himself. We'll talk about that in a minute too. Yes.
Same thing. He was more into himself, was not interested in anything that she had to say, didn't remember her name, didn't remember. So it was just, let me tell you about me and introduce myself.
Lisa?
He never made eye contact with her.
No.
He looked above or below her.
Yeah, and following up on that, really it felt like looking for where else should I be going. I've had so many conversations with people like that at these events that they're looking right past me to see maybe I should be over there instead.
And Laura's been with me at a lot of events. Again, you call me a subject matter expert. I don't do this all 100% correctly, but I've been in situations where I've seen this and I've been overlooked, and I've actually done that a couple times where I've had a conversation with you, but I see someone out of the corner of my eye that I really have got to meet because they're a donor prospect that I have to do. So I'm trying to be cordial and try to figure out how to get over to make that, because that person might leave the room or exit the opportunity for me to meet them. So it's tough, but I've done that. Anything else? Lots of things that this person did wrong. So I tried to, in preparing for this, I tried to come up with a couple of things that we can do that we can address. And so I came up with an acronym called Getting a Grip on Networking. And the grip is simply the greeting, the rapport. The I is a little tough. It's about them, not you. Or in other terms, I want to learn about you. So greeting, rapport, it's about them, not you. And the last is personal but professional. So those are the four things that we're going to try to touch on in the next couple of minutes. It's difficult, too, because I've got my staff here, so they know. Some of them are very, very extroverted and very social, and some of them are deeper, more relational, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And I also have Janet over here, too, so she's going to keep me in line if I say something that's wrong or inappropriate, which I tend to do a couple of times. So, no, I'm just kidding. Thanks, Janet. All right, so first is the greeting. Very simple. Starts with a handshake. Yes?
Use the microphone, please. I just got a word from Altamont. They can't hear you.
All right. So I got to make sure I do this too. I'll set my notes right here. So it starts with the handshake. It's very simple. We're going to start with it. Hi, I'm John.
I'm Cindy.
Nice to meet you. It's a good grip.
Thank you.
Again, web to web. You put your hands together. I know it sounds simple. It sounds trivial that we're doing this, but a lot of people mess up the handshake, especially some of the ladies. Give me, hi, I'm John. Yeah, nice. You don't have to break there. Just right there. Good, firm handshake. So practice real quick. Everybody give each other a handshake real quick. You're looking them in the eye. You're focused, and you say yes.
Actually, men tend to do this when they shake a woman's hand.
We got to work on that with the men, too. So, and the men do the soft handshake, too? Okay. Well, don't correct them right then. And I'll try to work on the guys over here to do the same thing. If I ever present this again into a larger group that's mixed, I'll say, hey, guys, do the same thing. Just
Repeat the questions for Altamont. They're not doing it.
awesome. I will do that too. So the question was, men do the same thing. So we want to make sure that the men also know that as well. Focus, eye contact, the handshake itself. Hi, my name is John, and you are. And so there's kind of the initial greeting. You want to make sure you give proper space. We've seen in social situations where we do the handshake. Hi, I'm John. How are you? So you just became uncomfortable right there. Or you pull the person in to your personal space. Don't do that. Also, if you see someone at a reception or an event and they're wanting to kind of get into the conversation, look at your space too. Look at the circle that you're in. If it's you and me talking, but she wants to say hi, just turn a little bit like this so she can come in and, oh, hi, I'm John. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you versus nice to see you. Which would you use? I use C. The reason why I go to lots of different events and activities. John, it's good to see you. She met me 2 months ago. And if I'm meeting her, she goes, well, I met you 2 months ago, and now she's got a negative perception of me because I forgot who she was. Unfortunately, in the industry and the role that I play, we're very external, lots of events, lots of activities. We meet folks in different places. So I know Jessica from work, and I've met her one time, but if I see her at an event down in downtown Orlando, and I'm going, I know her from somewhere. Our new president right now is drinking from a fire hose. She is meeting hundreds of people across this campus, across this community, and it's hard to do all the name recognitions and the names. I struggle with that personally. In networking, I struggle with remembering the names, and that's because of the next one. We have G, the greeting, R, the rapport. Hi, I'm John. It's nice to meet you. So what brings you to this event? You don't have to answer. There you go. That's good. What brings you here? Or if you know you're at a mutual event that you know about, who invited you? Or, you know, what brings you here? Or I'm a guest of so-and-so. Who are you a guest of? So you can start with those kinds of questions so you can help build a rapport and start the dialogue with some casual conversation. In networking for business, those kinds of things, what business do you work for? Or what company? What do you do for a living? Those kinds of things. Those are good questions to ask. They're not going to be too far this way, too far that way. They're icebreaker, opening the door, get to know a person. Any questions? In doing so, what I like to do, because I work in higher education, I'm always fascinated by where people are from and where they went to school. So I work at Seminole State College. Where did you go to school? And then they tell me, and usually we can find a connection point, or what did you major in, those kinds of things. And then we start talking about their college experience. And then I start bringing them back into Seminole State and our experience, and that's how I further connect them to the college. And I also I'm fascinated by where people are from. So where are you from? How many of you are from Florida? Raise your hand. Native Floridians, born and raised in Florida. So we'd have a lot to talk about because I'm a native Floridian. So I'd say, where are you from? And we could talk about all these kinds of things. And then you can go from there and learn a bit more. I will segue out just for a second, too. The cell phones make it difficult sometimes. There's a whole other section of videos on networking and cell phones and how we're all distracted by our cell phones. If you can, try to keep the phone out of your hands, in your pockets, or away so you can have that genuine dialogue with somebody. The problem with rapport for me, and again, I'm not the expert in this, and this is where I struggle, is, hi, John, what's your name again? Marlene. Well, for one, I didn't ask her name earlier, but I get so right into the questions and I start finding out about our background and our history, and people tend to remember the story more than the fact or the statistics. People hear the story. So Marlene's from Florida, she does this, she does that, and everything like that. And then I'll go, oh my God, what was her name again? I know she's all these things, but I forget. That's one of the struggles that I have. But it's simple, ask those questions, build the rapport. Trying to think. I tend to be a kind of a butterfly networker, which is a good or a bad thing, depending on how it is. So if I'm in a room of 50 or 60 people, I'm going to build a relationship or start something with as many people as I can because I want to try to connect and get to know as many people as I can. I'm going to guess that my colleague, Jessica, over here, is more of a one-on-one, more down-to-earth, more relational person, and she's going to connect with this person, and she's going to spend the next little bit working this person and getting to know this person and building a relationship with that person. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the type of people that we are. And I may be off base, but I think that's who you are. Okay, maybe not. All right, it's about them, not you. The I. I want to learn about you. You saw the guy there. He was so self-absorbed. Yeah, we're going to show the video in a second. He was so self-absorbed. I want you to think about active listening. This is where I struggle, and I need to learn, and I need to keep working on it. Try not to cut off. I get so excited because I hear something I'm going to connect to this person, and so I want to get it out, but I need to remember to let them speak and let them talk. So we're going to talk about it's about them and not you. Here's a fun little video that shows you that it's about them and not you. If you guys know Penelope from Saturday Night Live. After the video, after the ad. keeps going on. This is a Saturday Night Live character, Penelope. She's a classic one-upper. She's a person that wants to be in the limelight, be in the spotlight, and we were trying to find a good example of how not to network and how to be about them and not about yourself. So that's Penelope. Do not be Penelope when you're out networking. Actively listen. Don't cut the person off. Think about what, try not to think about what you're going to say next and really take in the information. And then I'm actually working on that too. Others may be awkward in that space. When you're out there networking and visiting, you saw the lady in the first video. She was over in the corner. Well, I'm that person that will go over and try to make them feel welcome and a part of the reception and a part of the event. When you're having the little circle of folks, there might be that one or two people off, or there might be someone that's so important or part of that event that no one goes up to them. We'll use a quick example. Jan's been with me. We've been very fortunate to receive resources from the Orlando Magic. And we received the Orlando Magic grants. The first year we got it, I was so emphatic, I screamed loud and got my photograph taken, but the president and the owner of the Orlando Magic, Dan DeVos, is there. And we talked a little bit, everything like that. Well, we kept getting grants from the Orlando Magic, and every year I'd get to talk to Dan DeVos. And again, it started out like this, but now we hug it out, and now we're on a hug basis. So the owner of the Orlando Magic now comes to the receptions and looks for John because he felt comfortable, because John came up to him, the owner of the Orlando Magic. Everybody else is kind of avoiding him except for his handlers and those kinds of things. And now he's comfortable enough to come have that conversation with me and feel like he's a part of the reception and the event. So wanted to share that with you. So we've got GRIP, personal but professional. Donald Trump. I heard a couple of reactions. We're going to talk about Donald Trump and politics. What's your first reaction? Let's not go there. Exactly. All right. So jokingly, and I'm going to look to Janet now to make sure I don't say anything. Jokingly, in our profession for fundraising and development, we're not supposed to talk about politics, sex, or religion. We got to be boring, or at least sound boring. I would encourage you to think like that as well when you're out there. What's the old adage? It's better to keep your mouth shut and let them wonder what you're about or what you think than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. So think about that when you're having the reception, you're having the small talk and those kinds of things. If you feel like you've been talking to this person for 20 or 30 minutes, you've got this great rapport and you're like kindred spirits and things like that, and then you go, oh, I hate the president, or, you know, this religion is this, and we're going to be talking about these sexual things, or my boyfriend did this last night, or my girlfriend did this. Don't. Not until you're way down the road, way into the friendship zone, where you've had dinners together and you've done stuff together, those kinds of things. I have put my foot in my mouth in the past. I've seen people come up and immediately put their foots in their mouths and saying things, and you can see the people in the circle at the reception take a step back or go, okay, what's going on? The other thing is your employees, your fellow employees, your colleagues, or people at the reception say, oh, Megan, I don't know about that hair, but, you know. And now you've got this negative perception of me because I'm being critical of somebody else's look or somebody else that's there, or if you start talking negative about your colleagues or the institution or the place that you work. We all know those people. Try not to bring that through receptions as well. Don't be an oversharer, if you wanted to summarize that. And again, talking bad. And even if you're going to talk bad about somebody, we use this in the office just this morning, bless their heart doesn't help. When you say bless their heart, they're an idiot, it doesn't help. You're still talking negative about your folks. Business cards. So guys might have an advantage. Depending on the dress or things like that. I've got business cards here ready to go. You don't want to fumble, do those kinds of things. If you're going to a reception, be prepared. Have your business cards ready if you're going to exchange cards with folks. You saw in the video, they exchanged cards. The guy took the card and immediately put it in his pocket. Make sure you look at the card. Make sure you understand who you're meeting, who you're getting the information from, and be genuinely like, oh, this is neat. Okay, so this is your title. Look at it and know what you're getting from that person. One little tip too, after the event or after a reception when I do something, most of the time I take the business card and I'll write on it, met at this particular event or reception, or Seminole State alumnus met here, and I give it to Laura so she can follow up from the Alumni Association. So. The last thing, and I'll close because I know we're doing a little exercise, is just be genuine. Start with a smile. If you're going to be at the event and you don't want to be at the event, just suck it up for the little bit you're there. Hopefully they get good drinks and food and hors d'oeuvres and things like that. And smile, be genuine, enjoy it, and I'll open it up for questions as I'm perspiring over here. Sure.
And then I'll hand it back to you. You had a question?
Do you ever like write on the back of the business card something to help you kind of trigger you to remember that person?
Yes. So, that's right. I got to talk back into this. So if I'm trying to think of a most recent one. David Lindsay, marketing officer for Salada. It's the new salad location in Heathrow Town Center. He came to our office. I wrote on the back, David Lindsay, Salada, but he was also a member of Florida Citrus Sports, and we knew each other through Florida Citrus Sports, so I wrote that on there as well, and so that's what I have on the back of the card so I can remember that information. Or if I go to an event and I need to follow up with somebody, I'll get the card, and they say they want to follow up about the scholarship, or I'm going to send them sponsorship information. I'll write on the card, or I'll write a note. I also keep these things right here. It's a little note piece of paper, and my little pen, so I'll go back and I'll write notes. And then I'll come back to the office and we'll try to sort through what I did the night before. We do a lot of events and sponsorships and activities at the college. We try to be strategic when we go. We try to be strategic in who goes, and we try to be strategic in what information we take back and what our follow-up is. So it's not just going to have fun and do the event, which is nice. There is some follow-up. Other questions? Yes.
Thank you. I think this is a follow-up to what you just said, but what I was going to ask is, should you have a goal when you're going to an event? And maybe my fundraising background is showing, but do you have a goal or like an initiative when you're going into an event?
Overall, it depends on who's the event. If the event is sponsored by something, one, the goal is to have a presence there. Yesterday morning, Seminole County Public Schools had a thank you breakfast for their supporters and donors for the year. So my goal was just to go and show appreciation and be a part of the relationship we have with Seminole County Public Schools. The sub-goal to that is, okay, who in that room needs a follow-up? When I go to meetings, when I go to events, invariably there's always some follow-up that needs to be done, some connectivity that needs to be made. There's going to be a trustee there. There was 2 trustees there yesterday. I visited with them. There were foundation board members there. I made a target to go visit with them. So I look at the connection points of the college, and then I look to see if there's a business person that needs to be cultivated for a possible gift or a relationship to build on, those kinds of things. So that's kind of how I approach it. Other questions? Yes.
So I'm going to be the one that's going to ask about alcohol at these events and the balance of that. I know, as an example, when you took me to one of these events for Orlando Magic, there was an iced thing of like martini vodkas that people could go and get. So what's the balance there? Drink, not drink? I mean, obviously we're representing the college, so what's appropriate?
Do not end up horizontal. No, I'm just kidding. Have a designated driver, those kinds of things. When you're at an event that there's alcohol, a lot of events I go to, I will do club soda with a lime, so it looks like I'm having a drink and I'm not being the teetotaler over here. If there's a wine and beer event, we host wine and beer events. We'll have a glass of wine. It's not forbidden to be able to do that. You just want to know your limits and know your moderation. If you've ever been to a professional development conference, raise your hand. You know the group of people that go crazy and they go out and it's like there's a whole different world when they leave to go on professional development. I actually, in the beginning of my career, was a part of that group, and I had a lot of fun, and oh my God, there's free drink tickets, and we took advantage of all that. I've learned some lessons over the years, and my standing rule is 1 or 2 and through. But you can have a drink. You just got to be careful. You want to add to that or anything like that? We are representing the institution, so we don't want to misrepresent the institution.
I do want to add to that, and thank you, and hello, Altamont. I wanted to ask you, when you do that 1 and 2 and through, why did you take a moment to reference the teetotaler, such as myself, who's wandering around without a drink? Seriously, am I representing the college inappropriately when I'm not carrying a drink around? What do you do to fit in? Either with a plate of food that you may not care for, or a drink?
It's a great question, and I think it's you kind of size up the room, the culture, what you're seeing visually. And I say that because I see, and I'm going to, again, this is not being the subject matter expert. This is just John Gillen's perception of this. If I see a bunch of people having drinks in a room, do I feel like I'm not a part of that if I don't have a drink? I think more people are not drinking these days and not drinking at the events. I know that when we have events, we order a lot of beer and wine. We end up with a lot of leftovers because not everybody's partaking. We have a lot of other things to drink as well. So that reference might be to a little bit of my past where I'm with the group that's, out having drinks, and then I see someone that's going, no, I'm not going to drink. So we say, well, why aren't you drinking? Those kinds of things. I think it's more accepted now. Yeah. Did I answer that okay? Food? I'm a big guy, so I'll go ahead and use me. Don't load my plate down and then go, hey, how are you doing? And I've got 60 things on my plate. You want to be, when they come around with the past hors d'oeuvres, yes, I'll try one, have one, and everything like that. The food is great. The food is amazing at a lot of these events. Go do that. But don't overload your plate. Go off to the corner and hide and eat your food. Make sure you can hold your food. Make sure you can balance your food. And don't, I think you just moderation, just be respectful of the situation. I've actually seen people go to events and they'll be putting food in their pockets. I've actually seen that. So, long time ago. Yes. Uh-oh.
So you mentioned the circles that happen a lot for those of us who may not have that experience. How do you get into one of those circles when they seem to be closed off? Or what's your...
I would take Pat and I'd jerk her shoulder around and then just go from there. You don't want to tap your toes and wait impatiently and stuff like that. You just kind of look for the eye contact with somebody and hope that they're responsive enough to go, oh, hey. And especially if there's somebody you know, and then hopefully they open up the circle. You don't want to just dive into the circle. And if it doesn't open, then you just kind of, okay, then move to the next one and maybe don't hover and circle around, but maybe come back around and then see if you can do it. Because there's obviously somebody that you want to connect with and say hi to and vice versa. And so hopefully they'll be respectful too and open that circle up for you. What other questions? Uh-oh, here we go. Laura.
Going back to the wine, sorry, back to the drinking. Even if I do have a wine at a reception, often there are photographers that are floating around, and I am very careful as a college representative to put the wine down before a picture is taken, because it often ends up on Facebook or other things. Do you think that's too conservative on my part, or what do you do?
I'll do exactly the same thing. Brian Price is a photographer in Seminole County, and I think he shoots photos at every event, whether it's a chamber event or whatever. So he's always there, and the first thing he does is, John, because he knows me, he's, John, let's take a picture. Well, I might have a wine in my hand. So if we're going to take a picture, I'll do this and hide the wine behind my back, or I'll set the wine down. Do I get out of all the pictures without a drink? No, and there's some social media posts where if they're holding something like that. And people might have a perception about that too, but try if you can. If you're going to be in a setting where there's going to be photography taking place and someone's going to take your picture, try to put your drink off to the side. Or if you're going to be in a group shot, put the drink behind their back so you know that they're all in the picture, but no one's got their drink in their hand. That's good. I could go off on another tangent related to social media in the networking, because now we're all networking online and social media, and that's a topic for another whole day or a whole hour we could talk about. I will say this. Be careful what and how and who you post. I get tagged in a lot of things, mostly events and activities and things like that. But I have friends from high school that might tag me in something that's inappropriate, and I try to quickly remove the tag. Or you have the things where you can review before you tag yourself and those kinds of things. But just be careful. It's your online perception, and people develop a perception of you by what they see online as well. Going back to the politics section, religion, what you post online also says a lot about you. I have a lot of friends who engage in political information online. I don't think it sways my opinion in any way, but it does give me a really solid perception of who that person is politically, and so I know how to approach them. But I don't engage in politics online or those kinds of things. So just be careful what you post, because it is your online perception, and it is how you network before you network, if you will. If you're going to go out in public and meet people, they might be friends with you online. What do they think about you? What is their perception of you? Yes, ma'am.
This is somewhat of a tangent, but it's a networking thing also. On LinkedIn, you get like friend request kind of things for people that you have no idea who they are. But they look professional, or they're a manager or something like that. What do you have advice about that?
One, I haven't updated my LinkedIn in a while, which is bad. I need to do that. Two, with LinkedIn, you have second and third generation or third degree relationships. Go through that relationship chain and find out how they're connected to you. And if you feel comfortable, or you feel like there's a connection to a connection that you feel comfortable with, then I might explore adding them. I would probably add more so than I would not. But there's a lot of things, even on Facebook, where people are sending you friend requests with no mutual friends. I don't accept those. And I wouldn't accept someone that you didn't know. Maybe you can ask that question to find out about them too. So, Janet?
Thank you. I would like to ask one good summary question for the women moving forward of Seminole State College. What is it that makes it so important for promotion and advancement that you would recommend improving networking skills? Why are we here today for the women who are interested in advancement?
It's a deep, big question. I'm going to answer it kind of in a big way too. It's about relationships. My whole career, all the work that we've done, the role that we play in the foundation, it's all about starting, building, and developing relationships. So if you can network in a positive way, and like Megan, if Megan can network in a positive way and develop a positive rapport with a lot of her colleagues and friends, when it comes time to move forward or get a promotion or apply for that career move that they've been wanting to do, chances are she's going to be perceived and received in a positive way, because that's who she is and that's what she's been doing. So I think that if that were the takeaway from today, I would say think about how you're connecting and networking with folks. We didn't talk about follow-up and those kinds of things, but just make sure that you're leaving a positive impression with folks when you are networking with them, so that when you come time to call in that favor, I remember I met you at this thing, and I heard you work at this organization, and now you have a job opening, and I think I'd be perfect for it. Well, how did they perceive you when they met you at that networking reception 6 months ago? So that's what I would leave you with. Okay? Anything else? All right, off to our little assignment.
All right, everybody, let's thank Dr. John Gillen here for sharing his wisdom and experience with us. For those in Altamont or anybody that's watching at your desk, we're going to do a little activity now. So thank you for joining us and participating in this particular workshop. And now we're going to practice a little bit, right? We're going to try to get up and do a little bit of networking for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll have a quick wrap up. So to provide some context in what we're doing in regards to the networking event, the American Association of Community Colleges, their conference is in Orlando this year in April, I think. So I think some people are going to this, but this is our context. So we're all going to pretend that we are attending the AACC conference. This may be your first conference. You can pretend. You may have been an expert, and you've been here multiple years, but there's an opening reception, and we're all attending the opening reception. So what we're going to ask you to do is to stand up and start networking.